actions definitely saved that kid's life.
I just feel like what I did was natural and what you're supposed to do.
Whether you stay there and help or you run away.
And it's just like, wow, a fifth grader changed the course of our family potentially.
We were blessed enough and lucky enough that we went through this incident and everyone's fine. Everyone's healthy and we can move forward with our lives. Not everyone's that lucky.
I'm hardwired to help people, so I'm glad that I could.
You know, you just don't know when your day is going to change. You don't know when there's going to be an emergency.
It wasn't really so much heroism as it was just being a good human, being a good neighbor, and working together as a team.
Whatever we can do to lend a hand to support our fellow human beings is where we should all be.
People are inherently good, and given the right moments, they'll show you.
One of my favorite parts of being in the Red Cross is the Heroes Banquet, because you do get to acknowledge those people that just, have done something amazing.
It's hard to define a hero. I think we all are a little heroic in our own way. There are a lot of heroes in the world, and as we say, they don't all wear capes, they don't all wear badges, they don't all directly save lives.
A hero really is that person that goes beyond themselves in that moment. So we get to celebrate and honor them.
I think the public needs to be aware that we live among these people that are amazing people and true heroes.
I'm so blessed to be alive. I really am.
I mean, it makes me feel proud that a 6-year-old kid wants to help out people that he hardly knows.
Our dog Brody barked, and honestly, that's probably what saved them.
It's a bond that'll be there for a long time.
I know if I wasn't around that day, the outcome would have been a lot different.
What a privilege it is to be here today. I'm so happy to return for the Everyday Heroes of Eastern Iowa event. I've had the privilege of participating in this event for many, many years now, and I certainly always enjoy the opportunity to recognize our amazing community members right here in Eastern Iowa. And once again today, it's a privilege to help recognize these outstanding individuals who have performed selfless and courageous acts which have made their communities a better place to live, work, and play. You know, there are no parameters to what makes someone an everyday hero. It's not just those superheroes that we see on the movie screen. It's an individual who makes such a profound impression on someone else that their actions affect another person's life in a very, very significant way. On any day, in the most extraordinary of circumstances, our everyday heroes emerge. So today, to help us capture the essence of these great special stories, the heroes have been interviewed on camera and their stories put into videos by our production sponsor for this year, Tyler Breitbach from My4 Creative. And our first presenter today, please welcome Jennifer Hannaford from Dupaco Community Credit Union.
Dupaco Credit Union has been a longtime supporter of Everyday Heroes and a supporter of the mission of the American Red Cross. It is my pleasure to announce our first Everyday Hero, Keith Kramer. Keith has helped raise money to build beds for kids in the Dubuque and Delaware County areas, making sure children in the community have a place to sleep comfortably at night. He's made and delivered over 145 beds in the last year alone.
My name's Keith Kramer. I grew up in Hopkinton. I was always involved in a lot of volunteer activities. I was on the Hopkinton Ambulance Crew for 17 years, Hopkinton Lions Club for 24 years, also very active in different things at Maquoketa Valley Schools. And then I happened to see the Sleep in Heavenly Peace in its first bulletin about no kids will ever sleep on the floor in our towns, to realize that there's actually kids that don't have a bed in our area in Delaware County. You always think that's a project that's in your bigger communities, urban areas, but it's truly here. The amount of sleep that these kids are missing when they're on the edge of a couch or they're on an old mattress on the floor, you know they're not sleeping right. You know they're not eating right. And so how are they going to learn anything when they go to school the next morning? Sleep in Heavenly Peace started out in Twin Falls, Idaho, and they built one bed, and it was a church project, one bed. And now there's over 96,000 beds they have built through these different chapters. There's 240 chapters across the United States, and that was 2 years ago. We were the fourth one in Iowa, and since that time, there's now 11 chapters in Iowa as we continue to spread the word of what we're trying to do. All the money that we raise continues to stay just in our chapter here. We've delivered one bed to houses. We've been up to 5 beds in a house. But when we go to make beds, we put a request out, and we'll have 40 or 50 people that will show up in a heartbeat to help with this project. When we make the beds, they're all set up in pieces so that when we actually go out to build the beds, we can build these beds in 8 to 10 minutes apiece. But with the bed, we also have the new mattress, new sheets, new quilts, and new pillows. We don't use anything slightly used. A lot of the quilts are made by church groups in the area. The more people we get involved in it, the more the word spreads of what we need to do. I can lead, but it takes a lot of volunteers to make this work. I've never been so energized in my life as I have the last year or two. Again, I've done volunteer work for years, but nothing like this one. When you see the kids and you get to deliver beds and you see the smiles, there's hope there. There's hope for the future.
Congratulations, Keith Kramer. Keith, for being a hero to children in his community. You know, during 2021, volunteers in the Eastern Iowa chapter responded to 255 house fires, providing comfort and care to 368 individuals. They also answered the call to assist with hurricanes, tornadoes, and wildfires all across the country. These chapter volunteers put their compassion into action and work tirelessly to assist individuals affected by a natural disaster. Presenting our second award here this morning is Nate Stoll from Green State Credit Union.
Green State Credit Union supports the American Red Cross by providing funds to assist people that have been displaced from their homes because of a disaster. It is my pleasure to present our second Everyday Hero Award to Kinsley Kurth. Kinsley was an off-duty lifeguard on vacation in Cancun with her family. During a swim, they noticed they were getting pulled further and further from shore. It was at this point they realized they were stuck in a riptide. Kinsley performed a life-saving swim assist back to shore for her sister and mother.
My name is Kinsley Kurth, and I've been a lifeguard at the Vinton Pool for about 4 years now. The first thing that drew me to being a lifeguard, I'd say, was the fact that I got to sit in a chair all day and tan. But I really do love it because I get to be in the water and see kids all day, and I get to swim, and it's one of my most favorite things to do in the whole world.
Went on vacation as a family last July. We'd actually were in Cancun for about 9-10 days. It was kind of just a day of hanging out on the beach and just kind of relaxing. And so the kids had decided they wanted to go swimming. We were probably maybe waist deep and jumped 3 or 4 times and just, catching the waves. But then like 2 or 3 waves later, we realized that we weren't able to touch.
We didn't realize there was a riptide happening when we had stepped into the water. It had just become very strong waves, and the current had come very far up and pushed very far back. And we had honestly just got sucked into it.
Her boyfriend, Javen, at that time said, I think, we're in a riptide or we're getting pulled out. And so he knew what to do. Kinsley knew what to do. They said, just swim parallel, get out of this, get to the shore.
I knew to swim parallel because I just watched a video about riptides before we had left, and it was on TikTok, and so I was like, we should watch this before we leave. And we did, so thank God that we remembered that little tip to swim sideways.
They were able to start swimming. Kenna, my other younger daughter, had just had shoulder surgery, and so I was concerned about her arm not holding up. Neither Kenna or I are great swimmers anyways.
I could see that my mom and my sister were still struggling really bad.
And at this point, I'm watching Kinsley and Javen, and they're almost to shore. My husband was on the shore, not understanding what had happened because he thought we were just playing.
My mom was probably double farther out than Javen and Kenna were at the time, and I had to swim back and get her.
I couldn't even think, and I'm just so trying to push Kenna to get her out of this, not having any idea what to do for myself. And then all of a sudden I see Kinsley coming back, and the mom in me just panics, thinking like, what is she doing? She was safe. Why is she coming back here?
And she was just purple, and her lips were blue, and she was gasping for air every single time she'd went up. I had to boost her up when the waves came.
I just remember Kinsley like pulling me under, or her arm underneath of me, and she did something, and I was completely out of energy. She swam me to the side.
And even though she was kind of laying on my back, I still had to swim as hard as I could.
By the time all of our feet hit the sand, we were able to just collapse on the beach. And really, I don't know. The outcome could have been very different for sure, had she not have come back.
I think the moment when it really hit me was when my dad started gagging on the beach, because like that was the first second that he really realized that it was real and that we were drowning, and he started to freak out and we were all out of breath.
I think that, you know, as parents, that's a big concern, is just how they're going to, you know, make it in the real world. And so to know that that was just her first instinct was to go and help, and that, yeah, just to trust in herself and the calmness that she had, and knowing that she was able to keep such a cool head in such a critical like moment. I mean, that's a really cool thing.
It feels really awesome that I know that I've saved my mom's life, considering she's alive, so.
By the way, the American Red Cross has Learn to Swim programs available at aquatic facilities in Iowa and across the country. To find out more about swimming and water safety classes, just go to the American Red Cross website. You can find that at www.redcross.org. And once again, congratulations to Kinsley for your act of heroism. Presenting our third award is Justin Mills from A.Y. McDonald.
Not only does the Red Cross offer water safety and Learn to Swim programs, they also offer classes in CPR and first aid. These courses are offered online and on-site to individuals or groups at your place of employment. It is my honor as a co-worker from A.Y. McDonald to present our next Everyday Hero Award to Tanya Kleesner. She put her CPR and first aid training into action when she came upon a motorcycle accident.
My husband and I and our kids had just come back from a family vacation. Our youngest daughter was actually sick the last day of vacation in Colorado, so we decided to pack up a day early. Leah and I were on our way home from the pharmacy, and we came across the accident. I really didn't know what was happening at the time, other than cars were slowing down.
Richard Dispatch was a patient that was unresponsive for a motorcycle accident by Swiss Valley Road and Highway 20.
Being on a busy highway, Highway 20, I was pretty nervous to stop and leave her in the car. So I went all the way down into the ditch and parked and jumped out. I noticed right away the patient, the gentleman, wasn't breathing. He did have some agonal breaths, so I did check for a pulse right away. He didn't have a pulse, so I did start CPR right away. Probably 10 minutes had passed or so, and one of the sheriffs had pulled up. He brought the AED. I was able to continue with chest compressions. The sheriff immediately put the AED on. We analyzed, it did advise for a shock, so we delivered a shock to the patient. He did kind of let out some noises. He wasn't verbal at that point, but then I immediately checked for a pulse, and he did have a pulse. When I looked up, I know the Epworth Fire department had come with the ambulance at that point.
The Epworth department took over patient care. We loaded the patient in the ambulance and transported the patient to the hospital.
Honestly, everything happened, very quickly. And they always say, when you are in a situation, a stressful situation, your head knows what to do, adrenaline kicks in. And I mean, truly that day, that's a testament to what happened.
Bystander CPR is crucial in giving the hospitals and EMS services ability to save a patient. These compressions alone is what kept him alive enough to make a full recovery. That day, Tanya Kleesner saved a man's life, without a doubt.
I love to help people. Wherever I can help, whether it's a volunteer situation at school or church, kind of pride myself on maybe being the behind-the-scenes person. For me, it was somebody else's time of need, and I was just there at that situation to help. I'm pretty impressed on the outcome and so thankful that it was a good outcome for him.
Congratulations, everyday hero Tanya Kleesner. This is really a sad statistic, but home fires kill on average 2,500 people a year in the United States, mostly in homes that lack working smoke alarms. That is why the American Red Cross has launched the Home Fire Campaign. Its goal is to reduce home fire deaths and injuries. Working smoke alarms, by the way, cut the risk of dying in a house fire in half. And having an escape plan further improves the odds of survival. And this spring, the Eastern Iowa chapter will be hosting a Sound the Alarm event in Cascade, Iowa, providing home fire safety education and also installing some free smoke alarms. Right now, presenting our final Everyday Hero Award today is Alice Vadolgi from Crescent Electric.
Austin Brown is a volunteer firefighter in Bernard, Iowa. Residents of an upstairs apartment were trapped as fire broke out. Austin and the Bernard Fire Department jumped into action, saving 2 children and their mother before the building was engulfed in flames.
We have a report of an occupied structure fire. Confirm the victims on 2nd floor.
I'm Jacqueline Stonehawker. I have 2 boys. I have a 9-year-old named Blake and a 5-year-old named Jaden. I moved to Bernard because it was a small town. It was quiet, and I just kind of wanted to get away and have my own privacy.
The call came through, I think it was a little before 1 a.m. that morning. I live like kitty corner across from the bar. Grabbed the pager, looked at it, and I just saw, I don't remember the house number or anything. It said Jess Street, and that's when I popped up because that's my street. I ran to the window, looked out, and I just saw smoke coming out.
I lived above the Painted Horse Saloon in one of the 2 apartments. I had woken up that night, and the apartment, I noticed there was no electricity, and it was smoky. So I thought maybe the neighbors were having a fire and that's the smell I was smelling, so I went back to sleep. And then when I had woken up again, I noticed the apartment was filled with smoke, and I went to go look at our only exit, and there was no way of getting out of it. So I called 911, got my boys up, and we went to my back window. And I just held them out the window so they could breathe until the, emergency services got there.
You looked up and there was 3 heads and black smoke rolling out. I mean, they weren't going back in. I've been around the building my whole life. I know there's the exit, and that exit the exit door was on fire. So I knew they weren't coming down the stairs.
It was literally right before they arrived. I was about to toss my kids out the window because I figured that would be the best option, obviously. And then I seen the lights pull up, and that was a huge relief.
The pumper rolled in with the ladder, and there was a dumpster right in the way.
Jeremy and Dennis pushed over the dumpster so we could set up the ladder to get to the second-story window, and they pushed it over like it was a cardboard box. Just had to clear it.
Obviously, I was making myself calm down for my kids so that they wouldn't panic more, because they were extremely scared. But I won't ever be able to explain that feeling of not knowing if you're going to get out or not.
About this time, there's probably 6 of us at the bottom of the ladder. We got it up, and
Jeremy looked at me with some direct words and said, "Go." And I went up the ladder as fast as I could, and
Austin went up and got the first boy, brought him down. Sheriff grabbed him and took him to his car. Austin grabbed the second boy and brought him down.
He reassured me, I'll be back up for you. I went down by myself. I wasn't gonna wait, you know?
Watching the people that did the work, it's pretty amazing. And the different agencies that were here, and we all worked together, and I don't really even know how to describe it.
I think we have 32 members. I think 30 of them were there that night. So we were all involved, as well as Lamont, Key West, Farley, Centralia. No, there was a lot of people here.
I see it personally as a department award. No one was injured, no one was hurt. It was, all things considered, it was a pretty successful night.
It's one thing when you're in a situation by yourself, but when you have your children or somebody that, you know, you care for that much, it's a totally different feeling. So I won't ever be able to say how thankful I am for these guys, you know, and especially Austin. I mean, he saved my babies. I appreciate him more than I'll ever be able to explain.
Well, you know, today we've seen some awesome, impactful stories. Congratulations to all of today's honorees for this year. Not every day is going to offer us a chance to save someone's life, but every day does offer us an opportunity to make a positive impact. It's always a privilege for me to be a part of this great event, and I thank you all for the opportunity to do so again this year.